So welcome to Clinician's Eye. This joint project of the UVA School of Medicine and the university's Fralin Museum of Art is an interactive workshop that uses visual art analysis to improve physicians' core clinical skills in observation, communication, and reflection. Developed in 2012-2013, Clinician's Eye takes cues from medical school and museum partnerships and related research at other leading medical schools, including Yale, Harvard, Cornell, Columbia, and USC. But UVA's program is our own, designed in-house by my colleague Jordan Love, who is the Fralin's academic curator, and piloted through the medical school's Center for Biomedical Ethics and Humanities with a variety of medical student classes in the spring of 2014. In the spring of 2014, Clinician's Eye became a required part of our medical curriculum. While it's developed for medical students, the workshop works beautifully for clinicians of all stripes and seniority, whether doctors, nurses, or allied health professionals, and also for laypersons. While Clinician's Eye can take place in a classroom or in an auditorium like this, our preferred venue is the museum, in part because of its wealth of art objects, and in part because for health professionals, being in the art gallery can be a refreshing change that sharpens the mind. In the workshop, which normally lasts 2 hours, participants are challenged by museum educators and medical professors to slow down their looking, to observe, inventory, and articulate in a non-judgmental way what they actually see in the art before them. Exercises give them practice in mindful attention, in description and interpretation, and taking account of the difference between description and interpretation, and also in communication. Our goals are to engage and enhance learners' visual literacy, pattern recognition, verbal and listening facilities, tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty, and cultural openness and perspective. All of these skills, in turn, help to build and refine the core clinical competencies of diagnostic acumen, communication, collaboration, self-awareness, and reflection. All capabilities you'd like your doctor to have in the best possible form. When surveyed, UVA medical students have responded with enthusiasm to Clinician's Eye, and they have realized some gains in their tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty. But the best way to know Clinician's Eye is actually to do it. So, welcome to Clinician's Eye.
Okay. All right. So thank you for coming to my workshop. I wish I had you for 2.5 hours like I usually get the medical school students, but I'll do as much as I can with you in about 10. So we've heard from nearly all of our speakers about slow looking. Well, what does that mean? Does it just mean taking more time to look at a painting? Or, I mean, that's what it can mean. But how can you apply this to your day-to-day activities? Meditation is a great way to relax and to become more present in yourself. And we have, like the Phillips collection, have developed meditation tours of our own. But how can you create slow looking in your work, in your day-to-day life, both at home, both in whatever field that you're working in? Well, one of the ways that we do this with the physicians, and I'm very excited that we now have the engineering school and the School of Business as well coming. So what do? The art museum, art is just one vehicle for practicing visual analysis. Now, visual analysis is the slow looking that our historians do, but it's also something that Homeland Security does, for example, or at the NYPD, or physicians. These are all kind of detective type based skills that all of these different fields use. Art is just a fun way of doing it. It's just a different way of practicing the skills that you already use in your day-to-day life. What is the most common image that you see in your day-to-day life? Type of images. Where do you mostly see images? Advertisements. you probably see on average about 10,000 images in the course of a week. How long is the average image shown to you? Maybe half a second if you're lucky, right? The reason why they're so short is they've found that the longer you spend looking at a product, looking at an image or a product, the less likely you are to buy it. So our entire society is focused on getting you to see something quickly, and that's it. They don't want to talk to your conscious mind. They want to talk to your unconscious mind and what's the third piece of pie. That's who they want to talk to. So the question is, how can you be more present when you're looking at images so you can analyze it better? Well, art is, like I said, a fun way of doing that. So this is what we do with physicians. I either go to them or they come to the museum, and it's funner when they come to the museum. So here's how we're going to do this. Oops. We're going to show a couple of images. Usually I like to show one at a time, but I usually ask them to instead, because doctors oftentimes will try to diagnose the painting to me because they want to they want to impress me, or they want to focus on something they think they want me to hear. But instead I say, I just want you to tell me what you see. Take a visual inventory. Now, what's a visual inventory? It's a list of things that you see. So what's one thing that you see here? A couch, a dress. Now, what do you mean by the effects of time? What makes you... So you're thinking that this is a before and an after? Maybe. Okay. What makes you think that one is a before and one is an after? What do you see that tells you that? What specifically do you see that tells you? That makes you think it's a before and after? Specific physical trait. Well, we're looking for very specific physical things that you see. I'm sorry? So you're saying one of them's overweight? Yes. Okay, it's okay to say that. Yeah. There is one woman who is overweight and one who's not. Yes, sir? Similar skin tone, similar hair color. They are not, in fact, the same woman. But it's interesting that when you put them together, they start to have almost a conversation with one another. Now, I think, how old do you think they are? Maybe 40? 25? On the left. So the woman on the left might be 25. What makes you think that, what clues tune you into 25? She's got an evening gown on. She doesn't have wrinkles. She's not. Thank you. Thank you. She's not sitting up straight. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What about the woman on the right? Why might we think that she's older? I don't know. The woman on the left could be sleeping too. You can see, yeah, the wrinkles in the face, the sagging portions of the face. Yes. Maybe. Well, there you go. One of the things that we do is I get people to try and tell me the physical characteristics that they see that lead them to conclude. This is what we're slowing down, the jumping to conclusions part. The faster, well, because like I said, we're trained to jump to conclusions. But when you prevent yourself from doing that, you will open yourself up to other interpretations, as well as opening yourself up to details you might have missed if you look too fast. So when I get the medical school students to do a visual inventory and just tell me the objects they see, I don't want them to tell me who these people are, what they do for a living, or what do they think that's going on in the painting. I just want them to tell me what physical objects they see. And after that, I start asking what this inventory tells them, or what conclusions they might put together after they've made 5 or 10 minutes of a visual inventory. And one of the things that they start to recognize, which is not easy to see because this is a screen and we're not seeing the paintings in real life, is the one on the right, or the one on the left, there is a small, tiny bottle and a syringe, and a cup and a spoon. This is a heroin addiction on the left. This painting is from 1895. So when I ask the students, I might ask the students, if I had this pair, I might ask the students, which one is healthier? But once you find out that that's heroin, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. When you slow down your looking, all of a sudden you catch details you might have missed. Yeah. So, well, this is part of the thing, is a lot of times when people look at works of art, they'll rush to judgment. They'll start to judge one of the women. They'll start to, and this is what we don't want doctors and nurses to do, is rush to judgment based on your physical characteristics either. Exactly. Well, this is just it. This is one of the important reasons why slow looking can make you realize some of the biases you might have, some of the things that you might rush to judgment on, and that's just it. Jumping to conclusion is what we're trying to prevent. So every one of you have a piece of paper and pencil on your chair. So we're going to actually try an activity that I actually have the students do. Okay. Now you get about 3 minutes. Now you are going to turn to the person next to you, and one of you is going to draw, and the other one is going to describe what you see on the screen. The person who's drawing doesn't get to look at the screen. So put your head down or turn to the side.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm about to give you, it's not these images. I'm about to give you a new image. So the describer, you can say whatever you want, but you can't draw. And the drawer, you can ask questions, but you can't look. All right? All right.
First of all, does anyone need a pencil?
We have more pencils here.
Okay, everybody's
Okay. All right. Now remember, you only get about 3 minutes. So you have to make those 3 minutes count. All right? Okay. You can, of course, you can watch what they're drawing, but you can't actually draw yourself. You can describe to them. All right? All right, here we go. Ready? Go. All right. So I want to ask everybody, was there anything difficult about that exercise? Was there anything difficult about that exercise? You have to decide where to start. You have to make decisions about that. Anything else? Proportions. Scale. Yeah. Yes. Bingo. It's hard to talk about every single tiny detail. So what do you have to do? Prioritize. What does the other person need to know most? That's the decision every single one of us makes. And that's the decision your physician is going to make she said, you don't have time to talk about all the different details. So you have to prioritize and decide what is most important to tell your partner. What do they need to know the most? And then with time, you fill in the details. And this is what the physician is doing in the examination room with you, or should be. Yeah. This is him agree, yeah. But did you notice how that wasn't important for the exercise? No, I mean, like, you didn't need to know anything about art to get something out of it. That could be something you could say. Exactly. Yeah. Right, because you recognize his style, right?
But my partner did recognize the artist, but how do you draw from a Greek?
Yeah.
Lots of them.
Right. So,
That could be something later.
yeah. Well, see, the good news is I work at a small art museum where we don't actually have some of the most famous paintings in the world. But here's the interesting thing. I've used artworks that depict, say, the Madonna and Child. But when you say to somebody, draw the Madonna and Child, that could look a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. The point of this exercise was to get you to think that you might look at the same thing, but describe it completely differently. And your idea of what a wine glass looks like might be completely different from what your other person thinks a wine glass looks like. And so there's limitations to language. And if I can get the physicians to understand this, they'll be more cognizant, not just of how they analyze something visually, but of how they describe it to the next physician coming on staff. Yeah.
The thing I loved about your choice was with the Magritte, everything's out of proportion and out of scale, so it was playing with the person who was, doing the portrait.
Yeah. Well, and the fun part is I didn't bring the Japanese scroll with the giant skeleton, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you, and feel free to ask any questions.